In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to play Energy Assault as a complete beginner. So one of the things you're going to want to do is first, don't hop into a game, select your loadout. Now, most people don't realize this, but the best loadout that you can use, guys, is Loadout 3. Loadout 3 is the PKM. I'm going to make sure that you've got the PKM with the M9 as the secondary. The reason you actually want this is because this gun has 100 bullets in the mag, meaning that when you're facing off in your environments, you have 10 times more to shoot. So for a beginner, the loadout that you want to pick is not loadout number 1, it is number 3. So of course, there are many different things that you can do. You can edit your settings and your sensitivity. Double check all of these because of course you will have to use them. So now the default settings, most of these are completely fine, but let me walk you guys through what happens when you deploy. So when you deploy, you want to make sure that you select loadout 3, and also always make sure that you click auto redeploy on. If auto redeploy isn't on, what will happen is every time you redeploy, you can change your class. So if you're new and you want to change your class each time, tick this off. But if you are someone that already knows how to play the game, keep auto redeploy on. But since you're a beginner, I would take this off because you're going to want to test out different weapons. You might like the AK, you might like the shotgun, you might like different guns. Okay, for me, I keep auto redeploy on usually for that game so that I can know exactly which class I'm picking. Now, I'm going to show you guys the difference between this. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to show you guys what happens when you spawn in. So when you spawn in, of course, there's going to be, many different game modes. Each game mode has a specific objective, whether that be capture the flag, where the goal is to capture the flag, free for all, where anyone can be killed, or you can see this game mode where, it's just hill control, which is basically domination. You control a specific hill. Every game mode is going to involve killing someone or doing something of that nature, but that is relatively normal. So here's the gist, okay? Guys, when you spawn in, okay, let's deploy ourselves once again. You need to understand your quick buttons. So you press 2 to switch to your secondary weapon, and you can see that is super useful. Now, when do you want to switch to your secondary weapon? Well, you want to switch to your secondary weapon when your primary runs out of ammunition. So if I'm in a gunfight and I'm shooting this guy or this guy here, and I don't know how he killed me just almost immediately, but let's say I'm in a gunfight, right? So let's say I'm in a gunfight and I see someone and I'm shooting. And so you can see right here, if I am in a gunfight and I'm shooting, oftentimes you may run out of ammo really quickly. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to switch quickly and just finish them off, okay? So if you are in that situation where you need to finish someone off and you're running out of ammo, switching to your secondary is faster than reloading. However, if you do have the time to reload, go around the corner and of course reload if you can. So that is the basis of your first 2 weapons. Of course, you do have the ability to throw grenades. So if you want to throw a grenade, you press G, it's G for grenades. And the grenades are a bit weird in this game because the way how they bounce is super weird. They don't follow any weighted physics. So grenades are basically like a beach ball in the sense that they bounce really far and they take a really long time to explode. So for example, if I am going to throw a grenade over here, you can see that it just bounces all the way and then it waits 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, and then you can see it then explodes. Now that is of course, not great for modes like free for all, okay? Because grenades are usually used in team deathmatch or, games. You can see there the grenade is, I can clearly have so much time to avoid that. Or grenades are in modes like domination, where you do have people that are trying to capture the flag. So that is your basics of what you need to know. As well, guys, every weapon can be changed to auto fire, or it can be switched to, if you want to, it can be switched to semi-auto. So right now, auto fire. And if I want to select to 3 burst, I click V, and then this is just a 3 burst weapon, okay? Or a 2 burst weapon. It's completely up to you, okay? And if I press V one more time, you'll be able to see by the bottom, okay? And I think someone's coming over here, but you'll be able to see by the bottom right which, burst mode your gun is in, okay? Now for beginners, keep your burst mode, keep that on at the fully auto because you want to be able to deal as much damage as possible. So just make sure you press V enough so that the bottom right-hand corner is completely good. Now, in terms of your health, okay, in terms of what that is, when you get shot, you will have around 5 seconds before you start regenerating. So that is super useful. I'm hiding at the edge of the map right now. And you can see right now I've been shot. So wait, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5. And there you can see 5 Mississippi. And then our health started to regenerate. So it's super useful to know that you've got 5 seconds for your health to regenerate. So it's always best to avoid that. Now, another thing you can do, guys, is movement, okay? So movement, it's good to run around the map because the more stable you stay, the easier it's going to be for enemies to kill you. So right now, I'm not trying to win. I will show you guys gameplay of when I absolutely lock in and what that does look like. But the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that if you are playing this game, you need to know exactly these basic things as a beginner, okay? Now, of course, when you are going to be shooting, one of the key things you need to understand is that you need to understand that you need to be aiming in while you're shooting, okay? So if you are close up to someone, then you can completely hip fire like I did this there. So hip firing is shooting without aiming in, but at longer ranges, aim in and then, of course, try and challenge your opponent, okay? The reason that you want to do that is because that is going to give you a much better chance at killing your enemy, okay? If you don't aim down sights, I'm going to show you what it looks like when I don't aim down sights. So when you don't aim down sights, your accuracy is very, very bad. Now, you can still get kills. You can see right there, you can still get kills, but you just aren't as accurate and it just isn't as useful. So for the best hybrid, I would say use an AR, okay? And then, of course, in close range, hip fire as much as possible. But at long ranges, okay, you want to be aiming in, okay? But as a beginner, I would say just hip fire, okay? Because as a beginner, you don't have the ability to be able to aim that much, okay? So if you're a beginner in this game, which you probably are, just hip fire, okay? Hip fire is completely enough, okay? So hip fire until you then have the confidence to start aiming in, okay? So for me, I'm able to start aiming in, but trust me guys, as a beginner, the best thing you can do is once you see someone, just hip fire and then usually they do die, okay? You don't have to do all the weird aiming and it's usually gonna help you out because the hip fire spread is not that crazy in this game, okay? Now, for me, of someone who's played this game for, you know, not that long, but someone who's played FPS games for a while, I understand exactly how to, you know, shoot from a distance. And, you know, I've played PC games for quite some time. So I know exactly how to aim down sights, how to get my, you know, game working, how to get my game sense. So for beginners, like I said, just hip fire. Hip fire is going to be completely enough. I know that you're probably not going to deal as much damage and there's going to be certain scenarios, but eventually then you do want to aim in. And then, of course, for your long-term kills, you're then going to be able to get a lot more damage and bang for your buck. Now, another thing that you may not know as beginners is, of course, the movement. So that's what we'll be discussing next. So what you can do in this game is you can run around and then you can hit this, which is going to cause you to go prone. Some users opt for this movement mechanic because it means that they are less prone to getting killed. I do think that it is, you know, like if you're diving around, I do think that it is sometimes easier to do so. But for me, for beginners, I just wouldn't go into this mode at all because it just means that you die a lot more. If you do, you can see right there, someone's crawling. That's what they look like. That's exactly what you look like when you're crawling, okay? You are much slower. You're extremely vulnerable. I think if you're on like half health and you need to get out of the way of something, like maybe then you dive into it and then you shoot someone. But other than that, I don't think it is super useful to be doing so. Now, of course, if you ever want to pick up someone's gun, look down at the gun and just click E like I did. It's super, super easy to do. And this is what you may want to do as a beginner in some scenarios, because of course, you are probably wanting to see what weapons are out there. And so you'll probably, you know, want to pick up different guns. If you see someone with a gun, of course, like I said, you can pick up their gun by pressing E, and that's an easy way to do it. Now, if you're wondering, why does my aim suck? Probably lower your sensitivity or at least try and get on a computer, because if you're not on a computer, it's going to be pretty hard to aim you know, for most users. I know that some people play this on iPhone. I know that some people play this on VR. I've actually played this on VR. It's incredibly hard on VR. So I would say definitely try and get this on computer if you can, because that's probably the easiest thing, okay? Now, what I've shown you most of all in this gameplay is pretty terrible gameplay, but I will, you know, lock in and show you guys how you can actually start to win and how you can actually start to get kills. So I think I've only got 1 minute here, but I'm going to show you guys how I usually play this game to maximize my kills. The biggest strategy that I can say for you, okay, even as a beginner, is, as always, get the PKM, okay? Because you've got 100 bullets, you have a lot more, you know, in terms of, you know, your ability to aim for a long range. And for me, that is just a lot better when you have 100 bullets versus just 30. So you can make a lot more mistakes without having to reload. Now, if you're in this game, what you want to do, I'll probably show you guys some different gameplay, but what you want to do is you basically want to lock down an area in terms of your gameplay. So it's not as easy to do as I'm saying, but ideally what you want to do is get to an area where you can somehow spawn trap the enemy, or at least get to an area that is at least behind some kind of cover. That way, when your enemies are trying to attack you, you can pop in and pop out. You don't want to be in a space where anyone can be behind you or people can just immediately see you, okay? You ideally want to get to like a corner or some cover, and then you want to pop in and pop out, and that's how you ideally want to get kills. So you really want a predictable way to get kills, and in this gameplay here, you should be seeing that I'm getting, you know, quite a ton of kills. And at this gameplay, I think this is where I actually was able to win, because I was just so locked in. I had a 100-round mag and I was able to get a bunch of different kills, okay? And this strategy, it won't work for every single game mode. Every other game mode is different, but your positioning is going to matter quite a lot as a beginner. So it is important that you do manage that when you are playing the game. So for me, I would say that if you're trying to play this game and if you're trying to get better at the game, of course, if you can, use a controller, use a computer if you can, because it's probably going to give you the best chance of doing so. And of course, as well, in between rounds, you can pick maps, which is of course something super useful. But the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that of course aim does matter a lot. But if you're struggling to aim down sights, just use even perhaps a shotgun. So for example, if you're a beginner and you're like, okay, I can't aim, I can't do all of that stuff, what I would do is I would run around with a shotgun, try and get to your enemies as close as possible, and then just fire that shotgun, okay? Now, this is easier said than done because shotguns don't have a long range, but they do have the ability to hip fire. So you want to make sure that if you're using a shotgun, you have it on a close quarters map. Don't have it on maps where there's long lines of sight where you can see, you know, enemies for really, really long. You ideally want to be able to use it on a map like this where, you know, it's not that long ranged and you're able to get right up into people's faces with the shotgun, okay? So for me, that is what I found to be super useful, at least. And so you can see right here, using the shotgun at close range is super useful. The reason that this is useful is because these shotguns, they do one shot pretty close range, and it is super useful for beginners. Now, if you're not someone that is able to run around and you don't really have good movement, then I maybe would opt for just a standard AR and hip fire, because that is also very effective as well, okay? So it is completely up to you how you choose to play the game, but understand that, you know, certain play styles are easier than others. So I would recommend that if you are playing this game, try out different play styles, see what works for you. And, you know, you never know what may surface from that specific playstyle. And as always, if you are playing with a shotgun, you can just switch to your pistol so you can gain a long range advantage. That is something that people do from time to time, because of course a shotgun is a very close range weapon, and you may of course not have the ability to get into the distance where you need to be. So it's completely up to you, like I said, how you want to play this game. Some people like ARs, some people like shotguns, some people like snipers. Snipers in this game, I would say, have to be a hit and miss, especially for a beginner. If you are a sniper, you do have a few options, but I would say wait to buy weapons. So let's actually talk about, you know, upgrading weapons. I'm going to get a few shotgun kills here, and then I'm going to show you guys what it's like when you upgrade your weapons and you buy weapons. Okay, so yeah, this is a shotgun. And so if you're in a game, you want to, let's say maybe you want to back out or whatever, you can simply hit the main menu by just clicking back. So if you're in a game, you just click the bottom back button here. Then what you want to do is you want to basically go to your loadout. So for loadouts, you can see that there are different guns and different weapons. Sometimes you'll get free skins or whatnot, but if you want to buy a weapon, you can see that you've got all of these different options. So you can see on the right hand side, these are our coins. These are basically the value of currency, which allows us to either buy guns or buy skins. So it's completely up to you what kind of weapons you do buy. Of course, it's probably best online to check for the reviews, but you know, if you are looking at the stats, you can click them. You can view the stats right here. You can see there's an AWP. You can see there's a Saiga. There's an L85. There are many different weapons. And of course, the longer you play the game, the more you log in daily, you're going to have more credits. And then you're going to be able to get those weapons first. So for me, I would say, obviously, if you can, maybe get like a really cool submachine gun. Of course, for now, the AK-47 is still good. The LMG is still good. But most of these weapons, they still give you a fair enough fight. So you don't need to worry about, like, you know, not having the greatest gun or anything, because most guns are still fine. Okay, so if you are sniping in a game, this is of course what it looks like. Sniping is something that is, I think it's not the best because of how maps are designed. If you're trying to snipe in this game as a beginner, you're probably going to have to get to a very long ground, and I would say that the sniper that you do have is going to play a key part. Always have your sidearm ready, because people are going to try and, you know, run after you once they realize that you're sniping, because you're a little bit more vulnerable. But you're only going to be starting out with the Dragunov, so it isn't worth it, in my genuine opinion, to even start sniping, because every other gun just outguns you, and it is not good in your personal opinion, because it does take a few body shots to go down with a Dragunov or with any kind of snipers. Not with any kind of sniper, with the Dragunov, because it's a pretty basic sniper. It is semi-automatic, meaning that you can just continually fire rounds from it. But the problem is that this sniper just doesn't deal the damage that you need it to, and others do have the ability to kill you much more quickly with their other weapons. So I would say if you're using a sniper, don't forget to switch to your secondary. And of course, if you're going to try and be a sniper, at least try and, you know, upgrade it, because the sniper, the Dragunov, isn't a good sniper at all. Like, it's just not good. It doesn't deal enough damage. It doesn't deal any one-shot damage. You have to headshot someone to be able to deal any sort of remarkable damage. So there is that in that aspect. Okay, so with that being said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this guide. If you've enjoyed the gameplay that you've seen on screen, if there are any questions, you know, you're beginning your energy assault career. If you do, also, you know, lastly, if you do want to check what devices other people are on, you can press the tab button and you'll be able to see who's on the other team, what they're up to, and what they're doing. Now other than that, I think also don't forget to claim your free gun here. I do believe that once you're a beginner, you're able to claim a free MP5 or whatever gun it is on the left-hand side. So make sure you guys claim that gun because that's going to be your first SMG. So make sure you guys claim that and you'll be able to basically just equip that and then deploy in with that. So it's super, super useful for you as a beginner.